All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into one of the most powerful moments in the book of Genesis. It's a story packed with grief, disbelief, and a secret message that was hidden in plain sight. You might think you know the story, but trust me, it's got this incredible secret about communication baked right into it. Just try to put yourself in this situation. For 22 years, the patriarch Jacob has been mourning his favorite son, Joseph. He's convinced he was killed by a wild animal. That loss has defined his entire life. And then, one day, his other sons show up out of the blue from Egypt and tell him something that's just flat out impossible. So you gotta ask yourself, right? This is way more than just sharing good news. We're talking about trying to break through this wall of grief, a wall that's been building for over 2 decades. What kind of proof could possibly penetrate that kind of deep, settled heartbreak? Well, the answer is a lot more clever than you might think. So the sons roll in and just drop this bombshell. Not only is Joseph alive, nope, he's basically the prime minister of the most powerful nation on earth, the ruler of Egypt. You can just imagine Jacob hearing this. It must have sounded like they were either crazy or just being incredibly cruel. And they know words alone won't cut it, so they come prepared. They've got a mountain of evidence. First up, the story. They tell him everything Joseph said about his forgiveness, his power, his whole plan to save the family. But let's be real, after 22 years of hiding the truth, why on earth would their father start believing them now? Okay, so words are clearly not going to be enough. What's next? The hard evidence, the stuff you can touch and see. Joseph sent this huge caravan of gifts, a tangible sign of his wealth and power, all designed to prove that the story was real. And check out the details here, because this is really smart. Joseph is so careful. The 10 brothers who, sold him into slavery, they get a nice standard gift. But his innocent little brother, Benjamin, he gets a fortune. And for his father, Jacob, he sends an entire fleet of donkeys loaded down with the best things of Egypt. So what exactly are the best things of Egypt? Is it just gold? Well, this is where the great commentator Rashi chimes in, and he points out how personal these gifts were. We're talking old wines, something he knew his elderly dad would love. It's such a thoughtful, intimate touch that shows Joseph still knew his father, even after all that time. But it wasn't just gifts. Joseph also sends his brothers away with this really specific, kind of strange warning for the rows. And again, Rashi helps us unpack this. This wasn't just a simple, hey, don't fight, guys. No. It was this really layered instruction. He was worried about their spiritual state, their physical safety on the road, and, this is the big one, their psychological well-being. He just knew that the guilt they were all carrying was going to bubble up and they'd start pointing fingers about who was really to blame. Okay, let's just take a step back here. The brothers have brought an eyewitness account. They've told the whole story, and they've laid out a king's ransom in really personal, thoughtful gifts. They have an overwhelming amount of proof. And Jacob's reaction? A complete and total shutdown. And the original Hebrew here is just, wow. It's so powerful. The phrase is vayafog libo. This isn't just he had some doubts. Rashi explains it as his heart literally going numb, becoming cold. It just stopped being able to believe. It's like, after 22 years, hope was a muscle that had just completely wasted away. You can't revive that with just a bunch of facts. So that's the real mystery, isn't it? If all of this proof, all this logical, material evidence totally failed, what in the world could possibly get through to him? Well, the answer is just brilliant. And it's hidden in the one piece of evidence we haven't really looked at yet. And that brings us to the absolute climax of this story. The key that unlocks everything wasn't the stuff on the donkeys, it was the transportation itself. It was the wagons. And you have to notice how specific the text is here. It says that after hearing all the words, seeing all the gifts, it was only when he saw the wagons that Joseph sent. That's when the light bulb finally went on. And here it is. This is the secret. Rashi uncovers this absolutely mind-blowing coded message. See, Joseph knew that stories can be made up and wealth could be a trick. He needed a sign that only he and his dad would get. The Hebrew word for wagons is Agalot. So what? Well, the very last topic they had studied together 22 years earlier was the section on the Egla Arufa, the heifer. Agalot, Egla. It was their secret password, a sign that no one else could possibly know. And Rashi makes this brilliant point. The verse deliberately says the wagons that Joseph had sent. It doesn't say the wagons Pharaoh sent. even though Pharaoh was the one who gave them. Why? The text is screaming at us that this wasn't just a taxi service. This was a deeply personal message from a son to his father. So this one private signal, the shared memory, hidden inside a simple word, it did what a whole mountain of public evidence couldn't. It bypassed all the logic and all the doubt and went straight to his heart. You see, it had nothing to do with how much the wagons were worth. It was all about the intimacy of the memory they carried. That one shared secret was the ultimate proof. This really was his Joseph, alive and well, reaching out to him. And the spirit of Jacob revived. Now, according to Rashi, this is bigger than just him feeling happy again. This means the Shekhinah, the actual divine presence, which had left him all those years he was in mourning, it finally came back. When his son was restored to him, his connection to God was restored too. So here's the big takeaway, right? When you're dealing with really deep grief or disbelief, sometimes the best evidence isn't the pile of facts. It's that one deeply personal connection, like a secret handshake, an inside joke, or in this case, the memory of the last thing you studied together. This whole incredible detail, just hiding right under the surface of a story we all think we know, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? It reminds us that these familiar tales are often packed with layers of meaning we've totally missed. And it just pushes us to ask, what other codes, what other secret messages are just waiting there for us if we only knew how to look?